She touched my wrist. The alien nurse trembled and cried out, "You can't be real human." HFY. Elias Harper stepped off the shuttle onto the smooth, shining surface of Thalira Prime, his boots making a soft thud against the metallic floor. The air was crisp, faintly scented with something sweet he couldn't name. Everything around him shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The buildings curved like giant shells, translucent and glowing from within. He had seen pictures and videos of the Thalirian capital, but nothing prepared him for the reality. The light seemed alive, shifting and flowing across every surface, casting gentle patterns on the ground. The human delegation walked together, heads tilted upward as their eyes tried to take in everything at once. Elias carried only a small bag with personal effects, but in his mind, he carried the weight of the entire human race. They were here to show Thalirians that humans were not weak or fragile. They were here to prove that even a small species, barely a fraction of the Thalirians' numbers, could stand on its own in the galaxy. A soft hum echoed through the hall as the group entered a massive building. This was the medical facility where Thalirians had studied and healed countless species over centuries. The walls glowed faintly, and the floor felt almost soft underfoot, though it was made of some unknown metal. Soft, fluid shapes moved through the hall, barely touching the ground, gliding instead. "Welcome to the Health Corps," said one of the Thalirian hosts, their voice melodic and precise. Their features were elegant and unfamiliar, with skin that shifted colors subtly with their emotions. "I am Rilara. We are pleased to meet you." "We are honored to be here." She was a nurse, Elias would learn later, but in that moment she looked like a being from a dream. "I am Lyra," she said softly, her voice carrying both curiosity and caution. "You are human." There was a pause as if she could not believe what she was seeing. "Yes," Elias replied with a small smile. "That's right." She raised her hand, fingers delicate and glowing faintly at the tips, and reached for his wrist. The moment her fingers brushed his skin, she froze. Her large eyes widened and a soft gasp escaped her lips. She pulled back slightly, trembling. You can't be real," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Human. Is there something wrong?" "It is extraordinary." They studied Elias from a distance at first, then slowly, cautiously, moved closer. Each time someone touched him, there was a slight hesitation, a pause as if the very act of touching a human was something they had never imagined. "Why is he like this?" one whispered to another. "No other species has such vitality without modification. Unaltered, perfect in ways we cannot replicate." "Of course, I'll cooperate." As the scans continued, Elias noticed that Lyra was no longer trembling, but her fascination had deepened. She leaned closer, eyes fixed on the readings. Each time the instruments measured his pulse, skin conductivity, or cellular activity, a soft hum ran through the room. The data displayed on the floating panels was unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. "You are resilient," she said finally, stepping back to observe him fully. "Your cells repair themselves efficiently, your immune response is beyond our calculations. You adapt to changes faster than we expected. It is remarkable. There is something intrinsic, something your species carries that defies our science. You survive, thrive, even under conditions that should weaken you. Your body, it is extraordinary." He realized slowly that he had become more than a subject of study. He was proof of a species they had underestimated, a living example of resilience that could not be manufactured. One of the nurses touched a holographic display, pointing at a chart that showed human cellular activity. Lyra translated softly. "They are saying that your cellular regeneration is faster than any known species, even those we have enhanced genetically. Your blood carries efficiencies we cannot replicate. Your body, it is a wonder. You are more than tough," she said. "You are alive in a way we did not think possible. To see you, to touch you, it is overwhelming. You are real. And yet, you are beyond what we imagined a being could be." He was being studied not just for what he could endure, but for what humanity represented. After the scans, Lyra guided him off the table and toward a seating area. "We must continue observing you," she said gently, "but I needed to understand this first touch. It is significant." He looked around, noticing the soft glow of the walls, the gentle movement of instruments, and the quiet fascination of the Thalirians. For the first time, he felt the reality of what he represented, a human, fragile in number but strong in ways that even an advanced civilization could not ignore. He realized that this moment, this simple touch, had changed everything. The Thalirians had long assumed humans were weak, fleeting, and replaceable. Yet here he was, alive, strong, resilient, and real. The awe in Lyra's eyes, the careful curiosity of the nurses, the soft murmur of admiration and disbelief, it was all a recognition of something greater than biology. Humans were more than their bodies. They carried a spark, a life force that could not be engineered, calculated, or fully understood. And in that moment, Elias understood that he was standing on the edge of a new chapter, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. Lyra sat across from him, her hands resting on the glowing surface of a panel. She did not speak for a long time, only observing. Then softly she said, "You are the first I have seen truly alive, unmodified, and extraordinary. I cannot explain why, but I feel awe. I feel hope. You have reminded me that life is not only about perfection. It is about being real. And you will continue to surprise us. I feel it." And in the glowing halls of Thalira Prime, amid the soft hum of instruments and the gentle whispers of nurses, humanity's resilience began to shine, quietly, brilliantly, and undeniably. Elias Harper settled into the daily routine of observation and testing at the Thalirian Medical Facility, though he never felt like a patient. Instead, he felt like a bridge between two species, between what was expected and what was impossible. Each day brought new instruments, new tests, and new reactions from the alien staff, especially Lyra. She seemed unable to look away, her eyes constantly scanning, studying, and marveling at every subtle movement, every pulse, every breath. The first week was quiet, almost peaceful. Lyra observed Elias' heart rate under varying conditions, noting how efficiently his body adjusted. She tracked his metabolism while he consumed alien foods, watching in awe as his body processed nutrients in ways her instruments struggled to measure. Every time a new reading appeared on the floating panels, she would lean closer, whispering to herself in a language Elias could not understand, though occasionally she muttered a word or two in halting common. Unbelievable, real, strong. He ran short sprints in simulated low-gravity chambers, lifted weights designed to mimic heavy alien materials, and even practiced endurance tests that pushed him to the edge of fatigue. Each time, Lyra watched intently, her expression a mixture of scientific curiosity and awe. "What is it about you?" she asked one day as Elias wiped sweat from his brow. "How can you be so adaptable, so strong? No species we've studied naturally thrives like this. You are extraordinary." Each interaction added more layers to the growing realization. Humans were different, not just in biology but in spirit. One day, a small group of young Thalirian researchers approached Lyra with their own instruments. "We wish to observe him under extreme conditions," one said. Lyra hesitated but finally nodded. "Very well, but with care. He is fragile in ways you do not yet understand. Respect him as you would any living being." His breathing remained steady, his heartbeat strong, and his muscles adapted to each sudden change. Lyra's eyes glimmered with excitement. "He is thriving, not just surviving. This is unprecedented." Even when faced with conditions that would weaken or injure other species, Elias' body responded with precision, correcting imbalances, maintaining stability, and demonstrating a kind of resilience no Thalirian had expected. "You are remarkable," Lyra said softly, placing a hand near his shoulder. "Your strength is not just physical. It is your mind, your will, it is your heart." Elias was patient when instruments malfunctioned, careful when alien protocols seemed confusing, and always willing to explain his reasoning. He asked questions about Thalirian biology, their culture, and their technology, showing curiosity and respect. His presence reminded the Thalirians that intelligence, empathy, and adaptability were not just traits, they were strengths that could not be engineered or manufactured. One evening, after a particularly long day of observation, Lyra approached Elias in the quiet hall. The glowing walls cast soft light across the floor, and the hum of machinery filled the air like a gentle heartbeat. She looked at him, her expression more thoughtful than usual. "Elias," she began carefully, "I must ask, are all humans like this? Or are you unique?" "We survive, we adapt, we find ways to keep going no matter what." She tested his reaction to unfamiliar substances, observing his body's adaptability. She measured his recovery from stress simulations, noting how quickly he returned to equilibrium. Each result reinforced a growing truth. Humans were biologically extraordinary, but also morally and mentally resilient in ways technology could not replicate. Other Thalirians began to take notice. Some expressed envy, questioning how such a fragile-looking species could possess such strength. Others expressed admiration, seeing humans as a model of natural perfection. Lyra felt both pride and concern, knowing that this attention could have consequences. Not all Thalirians were as open-minded as she was. Some could see humans as a threat, a challenge to their long-held belief in technological supremacy. Despite this, Elias continued with quiet determination. He learned to navigate the complex Thalirian devices, often solving problems that their own scientists struggled with. He demonstrated ingenuity, sometimes using simple human tools to achieve solutions the aliens had not considered. Each act reinforced what Lyra already suspected. Humans were not only resilient, they were clever, resourceful, and adaptable in ways that surpassed advanced technology. One morning, Lyra presented Elias with a new challenge. A chamber simulated a hazardous planetary surface, with jagged terrain, shifting gravity, and atmospheric fluctuations. "We want to see how you handle unpredictability," she said. "Not just strength, but judgment, adaptability, and endurance." The researchers watched in astonishment. Lyra's eyes glimmered with tears, overwhelmed by the display of human capability. When the simulation ended, Elias was unscathed, calm, and composed. Lyra approached, placing her hands gently on his arms. "You are incredible," she whispered. "Not just your body, your mind, your spirit. It is beyond what I imagined possible. And you are changing the way we see humanity." She listened, fascinated, realizing that humans carried something the Thalirians could not engineer: heart, courage, and the unyielding will to survive against impossible odds. Even as Elias adapted to the alien environment, he began to feel the weight of their fascination. He was no longer just a participant in tests, he was a revelation. Humanity, small and seemingly fragile, had revealed a spark the Thalirians had long thought impossible. Every glance, every word, every small act of resilience became proof that humans were capable of greatness, not through enhancements or technology, but through their very nature. One evening, as the sun, alien though it was, cast long shadows across the medical hall, Lyra approached him quietly. "Elias," she said softly, "you have shown us that life can be more than perfection. That strength is not only in genes or machines, but in courage and adaptability in spirit. Humanity, you are extraordinary. Maybe that's what makes us strong." Humanity had arrived not only to be studied, but to be recognized. Not only to survive, but to inspire. And in every test, every glance, and every touch, the Thalirians had begun to see a truth that would forever change their perception of humans. Small, fragile, unmodified, yet utterly extraordinary. Elias Harper had grown accustomed to the constant attention, but he knew that admiration often carried a shadow of unease. Among the Thalirians, there were whispers, quiet conversations behind panels, glances exchanged in corridors, and careful discussions about what a human like him could mean for their society. Not everyone welcomed his presence with open curiosity. Some saw humans as fragile, others as unpredictable, and a few as a potential threat to their long-standing dominance in biology and medicine. Lyra, however, remained his steadfast guide. She had watched him adapt to every test, survive every challenge, and inspire every observer. She had begun to see not only the strength in his body but also in his mind. Humans were clever, resourceful, and resilient. They could think quickly under pressure, improvise when faced with obstacles, and remain calm when everything around them shifted unexpectedly. To Lyra, this was more remarkable than any physiological marvel. One morning, Elias was summoned to a council chamber. It was a vast room, taller than any building on Earth, with walls that glimmered like liquid crystal. The council members, distinguished by their elaborate attire and shimmering skin patterns, regarded him with a mixture of curiosity, skepticism, and caution. Elias Harper, the head counselor began, their voice deep and melodic, "Your presence among us has caused fascination, but it has also raised concerns. Your species is resilient, perhaps more so than we anticipated. This cannot be ignored. You will demonstrate your abilities under conditions that are extreme. Your mind, your courage, that is what will impress them most." Temperatures could swing from scorching heat to freezing cold in moments, and the air itself seemed to change in density. The chamber was designed to test endurance, adaptability, and problem-solving under extreme stress. Elias took a deep breath, centering himself. He had faced difficult simulations before, but the council's challenge was different. It was not only a test of his physical capabilities, it was a test of his spirit. The simulation began. Platforms tilted and shifted beneath his feet, forcing him to adjust his balance continuously. Gravity pulled him in directions that defied his instincts, yet he moved with precision, using momentum and careful judgment to navigate the hazardous terrain. Heat waves licked at his skin, and a cold mist followed moments later, but he adapted quickly, regulating his breathing and conserving energy. The Thalirian observers watched in awe. Council members whispered to each other, their usual calm replaced by tension and disbelief. Lyra's eyes never left him, her admiration evident in the shimmer of her iridescent skin. Elias encountered obstacles designed to confuse or trap him. Platforms collapsed, paths shifted, and the chamber introduced simulated hazards that tested both his mind and reflexes. Yet he moved with ingenuity, using his hands and feet in ways that combined agility, strength, and quick thinking. Every movement was precise, every decision effective. He anticipated shifts, corrected mistakes, and adapted faster than the simulation could challenge him. One particularly difficult section required him to leap across 3 suspended platforms while avoiding a sudden energy pulse designed to knock him off balance. He timed his jumps with care, landing smoothly and adjusting immediately when the platforms began to tilt. Lyra's breath caught as she watched. "He is incredible," she whispered, unable to hide the awe in her voice. Hours passed and the simulation continued to escalate. Conditions became more extreme, but Elias never faltered. His body responded naturally to the challenges, but it was his mind that truly impressed the Thalirians. He solved problems quickly, improvised when obstacles changed, and remained calm under pressure. By the time the simulation ended, Elias was sweating and tired, but he was uninjured and composed. The council members were silent, their earlier skepticism replaced by a mixture of shock and admiration. Lyra approached him, placing her hands on his shoulders. "You have done more than survive," she said softly. "You have shown them the true strength of humans. Not only your body, but your courage, your mind, your heart." "How is this possible?" "Then your strength is not only in your body, it is in your spirit, your will, your intelligence. That is something we cannot manufacture, no matter how advanced we become." Humans were not only strong, They were extraordinary in ways that could not be measured by machines or formulas. In the days that followed, Elias continued to work with the Thalerians, helping them understand human adaptability. Lyra designed new tests, not to challenge him unnecessarily, but to explore the limits of human ingenuity. She introduced unexpected problems, complex puzzles, and simulated crises that required both physical skill and mental acuity. Each time, Elias solved them with calm determination, earning the respect of even the most skeptical Thalerians. Not everyone was impressed, however. Some council members remained wary, concerned that humans might be unpredictable or dangerous. If one being can surpass our expectations so completely, one whispered to another, what might happen if humans multiply, spread, and evolve? They could become uncontrollable. She resolved to protect him, not just for his safety, but for the chance to show the Thalerians that humanity's strength was a gift, not a threat. One afternoon, Elias was approached by a small team of Thalerian engineers. They had designed a new simulation chamber, even more complex than the previous one. "We wish to test not only your physical capabilities," they said, "but your problem-solving skills in scenarios where tools and technology are limited. Can you thrive with only what you carry, using your mind and body alone?" Lyra watched closely as he entered the chamber, her anticipation mixed with pride. The simulation was brutal. Equipment malfunctioned, paths disappeared, and hazards appeared without warning. Elias relied on his instincts, his understanding of physics, and his knowledge of human adaptability. He crafted solutions from the simplest materials, finding leverage, balance, and strength in ways the Thalerians had never imagined. Hours passed, and Elias emerged victorious. Lyra's eyes shone with tears as she spoke. "You are more than remarkable. You are extraordinary. Humans, you carry something that no modification, no machine, no technology can replicate. You are alive in the truest sense. I've shown them what humans can do. That's all I know. Humanity, your species, it is extraordinary." Humans were not only survivors. They were innovators, thinkers, and dreamers. They carried a spark that no civilization, no matter how advanced, could replicate. For the first time, he understood that the journey ahead would not just be about observation or tests. It would be about recognition, respect, and the realization that humanity, though small in number, was capable of greatness beyond imagination. Lyra looked at him one last time before leaving the hall for the night, her eyes shining with admiration and hope. "Elias," she whispered, "you have shown us the truth. And that truth will change everything." Their greatest strength lay in their adaptability, their intelligence, and their unyielding spirit. And that was something no one, not even the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, could ever take away. The days that followed the Council's observation were quieter, yet charged with anticipation. Elias Harper had proven his abilities beyond doubt, but recognition did not come easily. Among the Thalerians, admiration mingled with fear, and respect mingled with suspicion. Some council members argued that humans might be unpredictable, others that they were fragile, but none could deny the extraordinary resilience Elias had displayed. Lyra moved through the halls with a sense of purpose. She had been studying Elias closely, documenting not only his physical responses but the nuances of his thought process, his judgment, and his instincts. To her, humans were more than a biological marvel. They were an example of ingenuity, adaptability, and unbreakable spirit. One morning, she brought Elias to a new facility, one that combined medical research with technological experimentation. The room was vast, filled with devices that floated in midair, panels projecting holograms of complex systems, and tools that adjusted automatically to any species, size, and strength. "Elias," Lyra said, her voice calm but excited, "we want to work with you, not just observe you. You have shown us what humans can do. Now we want to learn from you. How your body and mind function, and how that knowledge can inspire new ways to improve life, ethically and naturally, for all species. Over the next several weeks, Elias collaborated with Lyra and the team. Together, they explored the limits of human physiology, focusing on adaptability, efficiency, and resilience. Lyra introduced controlled exercises to test endurance, while Elias demonstrated problem-solving in real time. He built simple devices to assist in navigating the lab, using ingenuity and limited resources, showing that innovation was not always about advanced tools, but clever use of what was available. Other Thalarians watched in amazement. Scientists who had spent centuries perfecting their bodies and technology began to recognize a truth they had never fully understood. Humans were capable of thriving through creativity, intuition, and persistence. Every time Elias solved a challenge, the observers grew more certain that life itself, when guided by intelligence and will, could surpass expectations. Lyra noted the effect Elias had on the team. "They are learning more than I anticipated," she said quietly. "You are showing them that life can be extraordinary without manipulation. You are teaching them humility." "This human, he is remarkable," the representative said, their skin shimmering with emotion. "He survives, adapts, and even teaches. We underestimated humanity. It seems we have much to learn. He is a demonstration of the spirit of your species, a reminder that life is not only about perfection, but about courage, intelligence, and heart." Lyra presented her findings, highlighting how humans had adapted, thrived, and solved problems in ways that Thalarian science could not replicate. She emphasized that humans were not a threat, but a species worthy of respect and collaboration. Elias stood quietly as Lyra spoke, realizing that the message was no longer just about him. It was about humanity as a whole. He had come to Thalira Prime to represent humans, and now his actions were influencing the perspective of an entire civilization. One council member, still skeptical, spoke cautiously. "And if humans multiply and spread, if they encounter challenges beyond our control, it is the ability to survive, to grow, and to inspire. Humans carry a spark that no technology can replicate, and that spark enriches the universe, not endangers it. Elias Harper has demonstrated more than we could have imagined. He represents the strength, ingenuity, and resilience of an entire species. Humans are small, but they are extraordinary. We recognize their potential, and we will treat them with the respect they have earned." He had come to Thalira Prime to show humanity's worth, and now the recognition had been given. After the council session, Lyra guided Elias to a balcony overlooking the city. The alien skyline shimmered with soft light, towers rising and curving like waves frozen in motion. The air was filled with the hum of energy and life, a reminder that civilization was thriving here, and yet humans had found their place among it. "You did it," Lyra said softly. "You have not only proven human strength but inspired a civilization to see us differently. Humans have always done this together, supporting each other. I just happen to be here to show it. You have reminded us that raw, unmodified life carries power, hope, and ingenuity that cannot be created artificially." Elias introduced simple human techniques for adaptation, demonstrating that intelligence and resourcefulness could be as powerful as technology. The collaboration between humans and Thalarians grew stronger. The alien nurses, once skeptical, now looked to Elias for guidance in understanding how biology and instinct could be harmonized. Scientists marveled at the simplicity and effectiveness of human solutions. And Lyra, who had once trembled at the touch of a human wrist, now worked confidently alongside him, inspired by the very qualities that had initially astonished her. One evening, Elias and Lyra observed a group of Thalarian researchers applying human methods to their own experiments. Devices that had previously required complex programming now operated with more elegance and efficiency, guided by principles Elias had demonstrated. Lyra turned to him, her eyes glimmering. "Look at what you've done. You've taught them that strength comes not only from technology but from life itself, from courage, ingenuity, and persistence. Humans always find a way, he said simply. We survive, we adapt, we help each other. That's how we thrive. Elias had arrived to demonstrate resilience, and he had done more. He had inspired hope, respect, and collaboration. In the final weeks before the human delegation departed, Lyra and Elias worked to formalize a partnership between humans and Thalirians. Knowledge would be shared, techniques would be adapted, and the two species would collaborate to explore the universe. The foundation of trust and respect had been laid, built upon the extraordinary demonstration of human resilience and ingenuity. On the day of departure, Elias stood on the observation deck of the shuttle, gazing at the city one last time. Lyra approached, her expression a mixture of admiration and warmth. Elias, you have changed how we see life, how we see humanity, and how we see ourselves. Thank you. Humans had not only survived, they had proven their worth, inspired respect, and shown that raw, unaltered life carried potential beyond expectation. Lyra watched from below, her eyes glimmering with tears. She had touched a human wrist and thought she saw something impossible. Now she had witnessed the truth. Humans were extraordinary, not because of technology, not because of modification, but because of their courage, their heart, and their unyielding spirit. And somewhere in the stars ahead, Elias knew, humanity would continue to grow, adapt, and inspire, carrying the light of Earth across the galaxy, not as a fragile species, but as one of remarkable resilience and limitless potential.